Russell Wilson trade rumors coming out now. It sounds like we all knew that he was unhappy with Seattle. We knew that he was unhappy with Seattle. We knew that he was looking at getting out, but we didn't necessarily think that it'd get to the point where he's actually telling the Seahawks, I'd like to be traded here. The four teams that we have: Cowboys, Raiders, Saints, and of course, my Chicago Bears, which is going to kind of be the main topic of this podcast clip. Russell Wilson and the whole Chicago Bears quarterback situation, because if you know me, if you know Bears football at all, the quarterback situation the last couple of years has been anything but stellar, anything but perfect, anything but certain, anything but to give you confidence in the quarterback position for the next coming years. With Mitch Trubisky, Nick Foles, obviously we pass up on Patrick Mahomes. I don't want to talk about that because it's hard enough hearing every single broadcast I have to listen to of the Chicago Bears, whether we're playing a Sunday night game versus the Green Bay Packers or we're playing a 1 o'clock game against the Jacksonville Jaguars. We are getting ripped for not picking Deshaun Watson or not picking Patrick Mahomes in the draft, and I'm sick of it. I just want to make up for it. But you know who Russell Wilson put on his trade rumors? I've already said this, the Chicago Bears. What are the odds that the Chicago Bears land Russell Wilson, and what will it take to land Russell Wilson in Chicago? Because looking back at the Khalil Mack trade, and we gave up 2 first-round picks for him, would I say that was worth it now? Back in 2018, I would have said 100%. Khalil Mack led this team to the playoffs, basically. As soon as he stepped on the field, it seemed like the whole team around him had changed. Ever since then, we haven't seen the same Khalil Mack that we did in 2018. And the Raiders go out and grab Josh Jacobs as their main draft pick out of the 2 draft picks we gave them, who is now one of the best running backs in the league. Who, I'm not saying that we would have gone out and taken Josh Jacobs. I don't think that we would have. It probably wouldn't have ended up that way. But I think we would have built onto our offensive line with those picks for sure. We would have got a receiver, a first-round receiver for sure with one of those picks. There's just a lot of different things that we could have done with those 2 picks. And everyone says draft picks are so risky. We got Khalil Mack, who is a guaranteed guy, a guy who's going to constantly perform. But then again, yeah, we have Ryan Pace as our GM. I don't want to get too much into that because what I was going to mention is, well, that's why I have GMs and everything. Your guys are supposed to scout these guys and find the guys that are supposed to be the gems and supposed to be the guys that are big hits in the NFL. Because if you hit on some of these guys, you're going to have a very successful program or a very successful franchise in the NFL. Why I bring this up is because for Russell Wilson to come to Chicago, yes, I'd love to have Russell Wilson. Wilson is one of the top quarterbacks in all of the NFL. Easy. He's probably top 3. You go Patrick Mahomes, Aaron Rodgers. I want to throw Tom Brady in there because honestly, I'm not saying that he's the greatest now, but saying that Tom Brady isn't a top quarterback in the league, winning 7 Super Bowls and just winning a Super Bowl is a bit absurd. But I'm going to go with Patrick Mahomes. I'll go with Aaron Rodgers, even though I hate to say it. And then I'll go Russell Wilson as my top 3 quarterbacks in the NFL right now. So he would help a ton. I think that we have the pieces on offense. If we could get A-Rob to come back, I think David Montgomery was just starting to show signs of doing great things in Chicago. We got Tariq Cohen coming back next year. The O-line needs improvement. That's what the draft is for. We're going to get some big bodies in there, hopefully to protect Wilson if we do trade for him. The defense is there. We need some secondary. We need another safety. The cornerbacks look good with Kyle Fuller and Jalen Johnson. Now, linebacker, we may need to add someone else on to kind of, Danny Trevathan's getting old. We have Roquan Smith, who's one of the best linebackers in all the league, but Danny Trevathan's getting old. We might need another linebacker, but all in all, I think we have a good D-line. I think our secondary is fine. I think our linebackers are fine. If we add Russell Wilson and then build an offensive line around him, I think that the Bears, you start to see people talking about them legit and not just being the 7th team in the playoffs and going to lose to the Saints after Javon Wims drops a ball that hits him right in the face mask or whatever. I don't even want to remember that play. What's it going to take to get Russell Wilson? I think there's a very obvious hint on what it's going to take to get Russell Wilson from the Seattle Seahawks, and that is his jersey number. That is how many first rounders the Seattle Seahawks will want for Russell Wilson at least. It's going to be at least 3. If we could get 2 first rounders for him, and then you throw in a couple players, I think that would be good. As long as we're not giving up like Khalil Mack or Khalil Mack. I think it's only Khalil Mack. Like any other players, maybe. Is there anyone else on defense that I'd be, if we give away 2 first rounders and then 1 other player that's not Khalil Mack, I think the Bears are going to be happy with that. 3 first rounders. What I'm looking at right now, what CBS has and published today for what it's going to take for the Bears to get Russell Wilson, which I'm looking at this and I'm like, absolute no, we are not doing this. Not even a question. Do not sell our future for Russell Wilson when we do not have an O-line to protect him. We need a better receiving core. We need A-Rob to come back, so we got to get that settled. Do not make this trade if we do not have the protection for Russell Wilson at all. What they say is we get Russell Wilson and a 2022 4th-round pick, and then we give up Nick Foles. I don't really care about that. We're getting our quarterback. We give up Jimmy Graham. Yes, he was a vital piece of our offense last year, but he's getting old. He's not going to be a part of the Bears' future. Like, we know that. He's not a young guy who has lots of potential to grow in the future. He's one of the best tight ends, but he's old. He's not going to be a vital piece to this offense for a withstanding amount of time. And then last, Akeem Hicks, one of our best defensive linemen, and a guy who's one of the best D tackles in all the NFL, in my opinion. And then on top of those 3 players, you give up 3 first-round picks. You give up your 2021, your 2022, and your 2023. The Bears would not be picking in the first round till 2024. That is the stretch. What was the last year? 2018 was the last first-round pick that the Bears picked, and they took Roquan Smith. You're telling me that we're about to go on a 5-year drought of first-round picks to get Khalil Mack and Russell Wilson, and also give up Akeem Hicks, and then you give up Nick Foles and Jimmy Graham too. Our future is gone. We don't have, yes, people say, well, there's free agency for these things. People cost money. There's a salary cap. There's so many different things. Draft, all you do, you have your pick, you have your set position, you write down whatever guy's name that you want is available, you submit the card, he's on your team, everyone's happy. Free agency and everything, it costs so much more money. The guy gets to pick where he wants to go and everything. I just think 3 first rounders, like you were talking about, 3 premier college football players who potentially could be stars in the NFL. For Russell Wilson, we do not have the O-line to protect him. I think that's insane. I would not take that pick. You take away one of those first rounders, I think we start talking. That's what I'm starting to be like, okay, that's reasonable. Yes, we give away 2 first-round picks. It sucks. We give away Akeem Hicks. It sucks. But we're getting a quarterback. We're getting a proven veteran who's won a Super Bowl, who knows what he's doing in the Chicago Bears program, and will hopefully bring Chicago to the promised lands. But 3 first-rounders on top of 3 players, and all we get is a 4th-round pick on top of Russell Wilson. That just makes me worried. It makes me really, really, really worried because you look at all the past 2 first-round pick trades. I don't even think there's ever been a 3 first-round pick trade in the history of the NFL. You look at all of them, none of them have really worked. None of them have really gone out good for the team that's trading for the player. It's a really risky decision. Would I love to have Russell Wilson here? Yes. Would I like to have Deshaun Watson here? Even though I'm a big South Carolina Gamecocks fan and I do not like Deshaun Watson, yes, because he knows what he's doing. He's a good NFL player and all that. If you want to take a quarterback, I've been preaching this for a long time. Mac Jones. If Mac Jones falls near you in the draft, I'm not saying move up, but if you have the chance to draft Mac Jones at what, number 20? If the football team pass up on him, if all the other teams pass up on him, I think you could have a massive hit with Mac Jones if you take him in the draft. He's a really accurate deep ball passer. Yes, he's not the most mobile guy, but you don't need to be all that mobile in the NFL. Yes, in college, you can run around a ton and everything. You have time. You have the ability to make plays with your feet and everything. But the passing game becomes so much more needed, and it needs to be perfected in the NFL. And yes, Mac Jones doesn't have the strongest of arms. He's accurate. He's played in one of the best offenses, or maybe the best offense of all time in college football. And people just keep sleeping on this kid just because he played at Alabama, because he's only had one season, because they just think he's a system quarterback, just because he had Devontae Smith, he had Jalen Waddle, he had John Mechie, he had Najee Harris, he had all those guys on his offense. And all Mac Jones will cost is one draft pick, and that's the draft pick that you're going to use to take him. Then you can go out the next couple years, take your O-lineman or whatever. You could even grab some good O-linemen in the second and third round of this draft. Like, there's some big dudes that we could take in the second and third round of this draft. I think Wyatt Davis, an offensive guard for Ohio State, his stock's kind of fallen behind. I've seen him in my initial mock draft. I think I took him 31, but I've seen some other people taking him in like late third round. He's a guy that definitely, if the Bears have him available second round, I'd take him. Big-bodied offensive lineman, plays physical, played for a really good offense in Ohio State who had a really good rushing game in Trey Sermon and Master T. I'd take that. So that's kind of my opinion on the whole Russell Wilson thing. There are certain situations where I take Wilson because obviously he's top 3 quarterback in the NFL. But to give up so much, to give up 3 picks, especially Russell Wilson wasn't anything special towards the end of the season, especially in that playoff game. Now you could say that Seattle's offense just wasn't that good. He has DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett. He could have had a running back. The offensive line wasn't the greatest, but he still had some weapons around him to beat the Rams in the playoffs and go on further than that. So that's my opinion on the whole Russell Wilson opinion, and like trade rumors. If it's going to be reasonable, take him. If it's not, take your O-line in this draft. Take Mac Jones if he falls to you. Even like take a Kadarius Toney, take a wide receiver if Allen Robinson leaves. Just do not reach, do not give up the future of this franchise for Russell Wilson.